just show you guys how to make a simple wire wrap ring that is really quick and easy. So I have a foot of 26 gauge wire, and I have some cylindrical objects that I can use for my ring mandrel to shape the ring. And then I'm just gonna do this one with one bead, but you can do it with multiple beads if you prefer. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna slide my bead onto my wire and let it sit at the middle of the wire. So I'm matching my ends up to make sure that this bead kind of lands right in the middle. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap it around a round object. And once you've wrapped it once around, you're gonna kind of crisscross the wires and bring them back up towards the bead. Okay, so I just wrapped it around. It's not too big of a deal. The next step is to take your tails. Let's see if I can show you up close. So I've wrapped it around. I'm gonna take my long tail and I'm gonna go through the bead again. So that way the tail comes out on the other end. You can see it coming through. And I can pull it tight. I still have, let's see, this other really long tail here on the left. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna pull it through the bead so that it comes out on the right side. All right, at this point when I take it off, it looks really crazy. It looks huge, and there's a tail coming out of each side of the bead. To make it nice, you're gonna put it back on your round object, and you want to pull in those tails as tightly as you can without harming this little guy, because we want to make sure that it's going to come out really round. As round as we can get it. Now the shape of the bead I'm using, it's very, it's like a little oval. When you have a really sort of like tall bead like this, it can make the final shape of your ring a bit odd. Do you see how it's not a perfect circle? So sometimes sort of flatter, smaller beads work well, but it's totally a style preference thing. Sometimes people really love big chunky rings, which I think that's what this is going to be. All right, so I have this right here. I can take it off my ring mandrel. And the really simple part about this one is we're not gonna do any wire wrapping on our bead. We're just gonna take our tails and we're gonna wire wrap them around the two strands. So I'm taking this big tail right here, I'm gonna wrap it around. So I'm just gonna wrap it underneath. And you really are trying to create a tight coil with this. So I'm just taking that tail, trying to get as tight of tension as I can to make sure it looks nice and neat and tidy. And this part is it's totally up to style and preference how many wire wraps you want to do. Some people might choose to wire wrap practically the whole ring. I just like to do a couple. So you can choose what you think looks the best or what you think creates the strongest bond or connection. I'm choosing to do, I'm gonna do just like four little wire wraps. If this is hard for you to get it tight, you can use your pliers to pull on it. All right, once you're happy with it, you can trim off the excess. For this type of ring, it probably will use less than the full foot of wire. Like already, you know, that's about 3 or 4 inches extra. So here's what it looks like one finished side. Just a little wire wrap on the end. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. I'm gonna take this tail and just feed it through the center of the ring and wire wrap it. All right, there it is. I'm just gonna trim off my excess. If you have a file, you can file this sharp end. I like to have the sharp end kind of pointing outwards. That way it's not going to point onto my skin. And then for what it looks like when you wear it, it's just a really simple ring. Came out a little bit large for me. Oh, but it works pretty well on this finger. So this is what it looks like. You can totally customize this with several beads, just one bead. It's up to you. This is what the back side looks like. You can see the two thicknesses. If you want something a little more ornate, you can watch my tutorial for how to wire wrap the beads, and that will give you a different effect. But these are really fun, super quick. They make great gifts, and you can try out different types of wire, different types of beads, all kinds of stuff. Enjoy!